Neil, welcome back. How excited are you about this challenge?
Yes, it's a great challenge, really. I mean, I always thought, if I was going to come back in at some stage, it would always be sort of the end of Feb. I always said I only want to work sort of 10 weeks a year, if I'm honest. So it was always right. And it was always going to be a club that I love, Cardiff or QPR or Huddersfield. Are you with me? And she's always loved Huddersfield, Sharon. So it was, she actually said to me, why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? So here I am. But it's, I've watched the last couple of games, the Stoke game and the Wigan game. And I think I'm going to ask a lot really to get in the playoffs.
Well, I was going to ask, that job of trying to lift the dressing room, getting the players on side, Neil, do you see parallels with the situation you had at Rotherham? What worked there that perhaps you can bring here?
Yeah, a slightly different group of lads, really. You need a little more help. There were a few leaders at Rotherham, whereas there are not so many leaders here. And they're good players, some good players that's been underperforming at times. But I think it'll probably be myself and probably Hoggy, that has to lead really. But as I've had a chat with him today, I think they're great fixtures. You look at the fixtures and you must be a bloody idiot to want to come here till end of season. Fortunately, that's what I am really. So it doesn't. You look at the games and I look at the top three teams all to play, Burnley, Middlesbrough, my old team, and Sheffield United. They're great games, really. So it's something that I'm looking forward to. It's as I said to the lads today, all I expect is that they give me 100%. They listen to what I want them to do in training, and that they go home knowing they couldn't give any more every day in training. That's what I want, really. I want the fans to know that they're doing that. And I don't think, in the circumstances with the fans, I'm sure they will get behind me as well, really. And so I think they'll be quite relieved as well. So it's I'm looking forward to Saturday. It'll be, a difficult game. I saw West Brom. I saw them beat West Brom quite comfortable, and then we've got a nice easy trip to Burnley, haven't we?
Your relationship.
But when I was at Rotherham, Burnley was the second game. Because Daichi said to me, they beat us and we should have won that game. We missed two sitters. And Daichi said, I'm glad we got that one out of the way. So it's, it's great to know that I can give my all, and it is hard, but I think there's a lot of hype about age. I think, I know people at 50 that, that you'd think they were 90, the attitude that they've got. And I don't think of myself, I think because I'm surrounded by a lot of young people as well, and family and everything. And I just felt really that I was the one that could help Dean Hoyle, who's been I've been close to him for many years, and it's, I should have come with Dean when I went to Flaming Leeds at the time, but I thought I could conquer Ken Bates, unfortunately.
Do you think had it not been for that relationship with Dean Hoyle, you might have stayed away?
Well, the thing is, it's a very special time. Ronnie Jefferson, who's with me as well, he keeps giving me rollickins every time when we go back in time. Because he was convinced if I'd have stayed here, we'd have gone into the Premier League, at that time. He thought we got a great bunch. But somebody lied to me and I fell out with him. And that's me, really. That's my life, really. People shake my hand and I expect it to be as it is. And incidentally, I've not even signed anything here yet. So, but anyhow, that's by and by, isn't it? So it's, it's one of those things that the fans have always been fantastic. I was really taken aback when I came here as a guest in the Sheffield United game. Was it Sheffield United game? I think was it QPR? I can't remember now. Who was it? Stoke. Sorry, Lydia. Well, close, wasn't I? But don't forget, 74. You do forget things. But at Stoke, the Stoke game, I thought it was, to actually go on the pitch and I was quite taken aback. I said to Sharon when I went back, wow, I didn't expect that, because a lot of people, we had 2 Wembley appearances, and a lot of people at that age group, sort of the mid-40s and what have you, they were kids and that, weren't they? So it means a lot to them, and I want them to come to the game like I did. And I've got goose pimples when I'm talking to you now, and I want them to be excited. I want them to go on talking about the game, not, him and he can't do this and he can't do that and moaning. I want them to be excited. Listen, I can't tell you whether we can do anything like that because the fixtures show it's going to be, that's why we're odds-on favourite now to get relegated. But we've got to try and give the fans something to shout about and win games.
Can I ask, Neil, have you had a conversation with Narkis Pelash about, has he passed on what he thinks has to change, in the short term?
We're gonna, the staff, believe it or not, I've seen the players' priority. I said to the players today, I'm sorry I couldn't have been at the other night with you at Stoke because, but I was in a jazz club in New York and it was a better evening. It was a really good night. So, I said that I apologise to them for that. But I will be talking to him because obviously we're having a staff meeting after the press conference. That's all. One thing at a time. Then we've got to speak to the IT guys and all sorts of things. So it is a hectic 48 hours, really. That's why possibly I can't do too many one-on-ones. Are you with me? Away from that, I don't try and let anybody down because I think journalism is one of the best journalists I've ever come across was Mel Booth here, and he was just I could tell him anything like the old-fashioned days off the record, Mel, and never let me down once, and I love it. That
last one from me, Neil. But 15 games to go. What's your gut feeling? And
well,
what are you expecting specifically?
I'll know more on Saturday at 5:00.
Yeah.
I'll know more. Because I've got an idea what I want to do on Saturday, which will probably surprise a few people. Whether that comes off, but I'm nothing to lose, have I? Yeah. Nothing to lose, really. And
what are you expecting from? I know it's a bit early, but Birmingham City on Saturday. What are you expecting?
Very solid, good. Strikers, Hogan and Jutovic, and solid at the back. Big team. We struggling injury wise, really. I think at the back. So but we've got to compete with them. But I think we can give them problems. We've just got to be a little bit more. Certain parts of our game which I demand, they've got to come up on the lads. It's no good doing certain bits and then letting themselves down. And I mentioned 3 or 4 goals which could have been prevented. Really, the games I've seen. So it is going to be difficult because they have done well. I know they lost the other night, but they've been solid really, and we've got to be ready and try and give them problems. All we can do that is try and do the best. It up.
Neil, cheers, thank you.
Come to Jamie from Radio Leeds.
Hi Neil. Did it take much convincing to take this job on when you initially got the call?
No, not at all. No, it was just one of those things. When I thought about it, I mean, I did. Obviously, Sharon, in the past, as said, not in a million years. We've got things to do. But in this particular case, now she said they need some help. She says, why don't you? I'm no shows until May and June. If you can get tickets. So it was a clear run, really. And you never lose that. I know the dinosaur, but it's very difficult to replicate what you've had all them years when you've been in it all them years. And I just like to think that the clubs I've been at, I've left them in a better place. And that's what I want to do here. Whether we can survive, I don't know, but I want to leave them in a better place. And in the meantime, I want to enjoy myself. 15 games, I'm going to enjoy it. Be like a little kid. It's, I'm really looking forward to the games.
Was there always that thought in the back of your mind that you would come back into football management?
Everybody said that, Alan Brazil always says it every time I'm on the program with him. But I don't think I'm one. I don't think I'm one for, I'd like to think that I could. I've always thought there's a job for me somewhere, possibly 1 or 2 days a week. Are you with me in that respect? But people, they don't seem to use that experience anymore. Everybody thinks they can do it themselves, So it's been. I don't want to do, up and down the motorway and the hotels, and I've done that all my life. I want to just enjoy myself, and I think February. I've always said, Alan, I'm not coming back till middle of February, Alan. That's when I work, February till May, and that's my year, that's my months, So it would be nice if I could help the club. Whether we can stay up or not, I don't know. I'll be doing my best, and then hopefully help them decide what they're going to do. I have a few ideas myself where I think they could turn to. So I'll be trying to help them sort of stabilize the club, really. Like I say, I've always got on well with Dean and his wife. So it's, it's, and there's still people at the club that were there when I were there, Anne's still there mucking around, she's trying to get me some accommodation. I don't like hotels. So it's all come very quick. But it's here now, and we've just got to get on board and do the best we can.
You mentioned that love for the football club. Just how big a factor was that in the decision, and maybe those familiar faces that are still here at Huddersfield?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, the kit man, and there's everybody. When you look, I'm sure when I turn up at the ground, there'll be the same couple of lads who asked for your autograph all them years ago. Are you with me? They'll probably have a white stick now, but I'm sure they'll be there on Saturday, and it is nice. It's nice, I look at the stadium, and I think, wow, I helped to build that. I thought we might have had a ski slope at the other side at the time, where I got a bit carried away. But I used to take the players at the old stadium. I used to take them to the building works, and then I used to walk right up to the back of the concretes at the back of the main stand, sit down and say, this will be here next year, this is the place to be. So, it's happy that, I bring back really good memories. The promotion was out unbelievable as well. The bus ride and going around the town, I've never seen anything, all the horns blasting. So it's nice. I haven't seen Boothie yet. He's been away on holiday. So it'd be nice to catch up with Andy, who's a smashing lad. And people care. I think people care here. Are you with me? And I know fans criticise. Fans criticise everywhere. I had a couple of hundred at Sheffield United that criticised me. And when I took over, there were 8,000 crowds. And when I left, it were 25,500 average crowds. Being in Premier League, got a new training ground. Are you with me? But they still champ Warnock out, 200 on them. So, I mean, that's what we're up against, managers nowadays. There's that much social media. Everybody's an expert now, whether you don't know what you're doing and you pick the wrong subs or you don't this, everybody's telling you. But I have enjoyed, I must admit, I never thought I'd ever go on Twitter. I do enjoy the odd laugh. I used to rollock the lads for the Twitter, but I enjoyed the dinosaur the other day. I'm sure we were in the museum. I said, quick, take a picture, darling. I've got an idea.
You mentioned social media. I mean, you've got the fame on social media now, and you're well known by a younger generation of football fans.
Sad, isn't it? I mean, 2.5 million hits in 3 hours on the dinosaur. I said, I did nothing else to do.
But I mentioned social media because I heard a podcast that you were on recently, and you said in it that you knew within 90 minutes in walking into a football club, you knew who was going to be in the trenches with you going into battle. It feels like a battle that's on the horizon.
Yes, it is. I won't know really in that respect till next week, because we can't really have a proper training session. I mean, next weekend will be a free hit, won't it? Burnley away. So we'll have a couple of sessions, and I'll get to know more about it then. But it's been I enjoyed the chat today. Really responsive, and like as I've said, I've got my own ideas from the outside what I want to do this week, and then onto the training ground next week. But we might train all week and get battered 5 or 6 at Burnley. Then I'll have to say Ronnie took it.
Final question from me. Just what will it mean to you to go out to that stadium that you helped the club go to initially, to be the manager once again and be in the dugout?
I mean, it'll be emotional. I'm not saying it won't. It was when I came up, and in this particular case, they all want me to do well because they don't like seeing the team like it is. You know, the performances have not been good enough, really. And I always found that Huddersfield people, if they see lads giving everything, then they can forgive them a few faults. It's when they don't see them, to be wearing that shirt with pride. And that's what I've said to the players. I want them every day in training to give the best. And then in a match, give the best. Not a lot to ask. And quite simply, if they don't give the best, they won't be playing.
Thank you, Dan.
From to Stephen from the Examiner.
How's it going? What are the issues?
Sorry about Melbourne. I did like it. I don't know you. Okay. All right.
What are the issues as you understand them coming into the club?
Not winning enough games. I mean, I suppose that's football in general, isn't it, really? You've got to look at some of the big clubs around the country in every league and the same issues, really. There's no divine right. There's no divine right for big clubs, to struggle likewise. You see some of the little clubs doing really well. So I think it's just a great game, and it would be nice to bring that back. I think the fans, they're going to have to play their part. Make no mistake, they're going to have to get really vocal and help me in these coming weeks. But when you look at the games that are coming up, I mean, it's mouthwatering, really. I don't think I could have picked an end of season with more challenges, which I'm looking forward to.
Presumably you wouldn't have taken the job if you didn't think you could keep them up, though, if you've seen enough to think that you can.
Yeah, I don't really think about that, really. I mean, if they get relegated, I'm not going to get blamed, am I? It's a piece of cake, isn't it? Really. But I don't look at it like that. I always look at, as I've said to the players today, I think all my career, if you've asked managers in the league that I'm in, which team they don't want to play against, I think I would be very high in the list. And that's how I want my teams to be. So I don't think I ask a lot. And it's an exciting time for me. I feel like a young pup again. And, coming back down to this wonderful club, which, like I say, I was instrumental in the first place. One of the worst moments in my life was at Carlisle in the whatever they called it cup. I can't remember what they called it now. Something like the Leyland Daff or something, wasn't it? Was it like that? I don't know. I remember we won 3-0, something like that, the first game, and I caught them selling the booking coaches for the final. I said, you can't do that. We've got a second leg at Carlisle. And, please stop that, and then we go to Carlisle and they scored 2 goals and captain comes off injured. I think he was a school teacher, John Dyson, then or something like that. I put a school teacher on and all second half, they've only got to get another goal and, they'll probably beat us. And it was horrible. And then 10 minutes injury time he played, the referee. But I knew, it was a special time. I wanted to take the club to Wembley. They haven't been to Wembley since 1930 or something like that. And then to do it again the following year was another challenge for me, probably the worst half-time team talk I've had to do, because we played so well, we should have been 4 or 5 up, and then we score right on the 45 minutes to then go and concede in 3 or 4 minutes later. So rather than being buoyant and, everybody's rock bottom when we went in, and, I remember Ronnie, and pulling me and, saying you got to get it, give a talk. And I thought we did well. It's lovely to see a reunion. People like Chris Billy and Ian Dunn I went to see a few weeks ago at York. Lovely to see lads like that, genuine lads who loved Huddersfield. Boothie, I mean, I always tell the story in my shows, you know, about Boothie. Have you heard about his mother? No, when he gets injured about 30 yards down the line, Boothie, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this woman comes running past me. And who the hell's that? I said, Kitman said, it's Boothie's mum, Gaffer. What's he want? Is he all right? Is he all right? And our Andy. Oh, dear me, never let him live it down. No, I know.
When you come into a new club, obviously, you know, you've been to plenty of new clubs. Do you have an idea in mind of what day one and week one look like before you go in? Do you tailor it depending on what you find at the club? How does that work for you?
No, I don't really. It's strange, really, because Ron said to me today, what are you going to say to him? I said, Ron, I'm better off when I don't know till I get in the door. And then it just comes out then. So I haven't got anything planned. You get one or two, you got to get certain points over. But I want them lads to enjoy it. I said to him, you know, you're lucky I've come out of retirement, you lot. Enjoy 15 games. I'm going to. So all I want you to do is what I ask you. And if you do that, you'll enjoy coming in training and playing. So let's enjoy it together.
It does look like confidence is low. Is that sort of the first step on that, getting the lads enjoying their football, treating it as a game rather than, you know?
Yeah, and not making elementary mistakes, really. I mean, some of the goals I've seen have been preventable. But we are a bit short at the moment, so we've got to come up with an answer. You know, the goals aren't coming and we're conceding too many. It's, you know, it's not a very good recipe, really. So we have got to try and sort that out, but it doesn't help with it. We just need a little bit of luck with the scans and what have you with the injured lads. But I haven't had a meeting with the physios yet, so I'm not even aware of that at the moment.
Yeah, it's as you say, defensively, there's a headache, isn't there? Because Matty Pearson went off yesterday, Michal Hellick's been out, Will Ball suspended as well now, of course. It gives you something to tackle straight away.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when I saw the Boyle coming off, clapping the crowd, I'm thinking, clapping the crowd, you've just let us down. No, it's but it's one of those things. It's I suppose you live and learn.
Yeah. You mentioned those soft goals as well. It has been an issue lately, I think particularly since the turn of the new year, because Mark seemed to get them quite solid and then it sort of drifted. Have you seen this before? What do you think the solution is?
Well, I mean, we are short of height at the minute with the injuries, so it's you know, trying to work out what's the best to do. A lot of the teams like Birmingham, you know, when they played West Brom, I think they scored from a set piece. You know, they're very good, some of these teams. The other night, I mean, Jags scored. So, I mean, that surprised me to say. But at least, you know, I don't know how many years I had him without him scoring. But you know, you've just got to try and eliminate these errors and what have you. And that's what we'll be working on. You know, obviously, I've only got tomorrow on the training ground, but you know, we will try and eliminate some of them.
You've got a couple of familiar faces here: Tom Lees, Danny Ward. Obviously, Ward is injured at the moment, but will those players sort of have a leg up, knowing your methods and knowing what you're about?
I think so. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've had some fun today with Tom. You know, and when I watched him play, he's been pretty reliable, I think, this season. And I want him to try and do what he's done. He's come forward with the ball at times and look comfortable, but then he's got to do the nasty bits of stopping his man scoring at free kicks. You know, so it's getting the happy medium, really.
Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
Stuart from the Yorkshire Post.
Hello, Neil.
Excellent.
When you've only got 48 hours for your first game, what are your sort of priorities in this time?
Well, my players, I landed at Heathrow at 11 o'clock this morning, and my players it's important, you know, we got a meeting there at 4 o'clock, 4:15. You lot at 5 o'clock. I don't really want to be distracted tomorrow, really, because I've only got that one session. So I thought if it's a late night tonight, it's a late night. But it's you know, I think you've just got to tell the players what you want from them, and you've got to want them to come on board and enjoy coming in training. And you know, I had a 20-minute, half an hour speech to them what I'm expecting, and you know, I asked Oggy if it was all right, and he said, yeah, the lads have gone home quite excited, I think.
And I mean, you touched on earlier about maybe helping to influence who the next manager is. Would you like to?
Well, I don't. I mean, I can. I think I can always advise on that. I think that the club itself has to do that, don't they? I think first and foremost, we've got to put bums back on seats, and we've got to make people smile. It's been quite a depressing place of late. There's enough depressions around with everything that's going off in the world. So my job is to put smiles on faces. Really, it's a nice job, I think, and I want the lads to do that. I want them to, and I've got to come up with a solution. I haven't got a clue yet, 100% what my team's going to be. I've got different options for different things. I'm going to be working with the IT now because there's a couple of lads I've not really seen a lot, which I quite like. And I'm not really seen much of them. So I need to have a look at one or two of the lads before I do decide on my team, which I'll be doing after the press.
I just wondered, I mean, you talked earlier about using your experience a couple of days a week, if that's something you'd like to do going forward.
Oh, God, no, it's too far from Cornwall. No, it should have to be Zoom, wouldn't it? On Zoom. But I've not thought about that yet. I've got... to be fair, I just, I should have been an international manager, shouldn't I? 3 times a year. That might be my next step, an international manager somewhere or helping one out. Yeah. I did get a message from Gunnarsson the other day, but I think Iceland might be a little bit too far.
And just in terms of the squad you inherit, obviously you've watched a lot of Championship football, this season and what have you. Do you feel that you've got the experience that you need here? Because I mean, you talked about a lack of leaders, but you do generally like to work with lads who've been there and done it. You must feel that.
We haven't got a lot of that. No, we've got a lot of younger element, haven't we? So it's they've got to come on. But what they have is energy and enthusiasm. If you can get it channeled in the right ways, they can do things that the old men can't. So I've got to try and find a system and involve probably 1 or 2 lads that might not have been involved as much. But I've got to come up with situations where we can cause other teams problems. That's what I've got to do. I don't think there's been enough forward play in the last, the games I've watched. And I feel sorry a little bit for the strikers, whoever's played really. So I've got to come up with something with the lads we've got, and that's what I've said to them today. They've all got to, knock on my door when they want. They might not be playing, and if they want to know, I'll be straight up with them. But we haven't got time to dwell on things now. It's got to be a teamwork now. All these, 15 games. We've just got to get together now and see how it goes.
You've obviously had the shows and you've done lots of media and what have you, but we'll be back on the touchline on Saturday. Do you think that'll just be another level up in terms of your enjoyment?
Well, I'll be taking my blood pressure a bit, I think, in the next... Although it has been good. I had a couple of blood clots when I was up at Middlesbrough. But, so I do keep my eye on my health best I can. And my objective is to try and probably lose 5 or 6 pounds in the next 15 games. So I'll be working hard after training on the training ground or in the gymnasium somewhere. You do get better food at football. I don't notice. I hope Sharon's not listening. I didn't mean that in a nasty way. I just meant the chefs are very good at these football clubs, so I can just not be picking. I can plan my week ahead now.
Are you addicted to management now?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's. I just love. I can't really say what I said to the players. But I do. I love creating atmosphere in the dressing rooms. It's something that I've always thrived on, always loved. I love going back to the reunions. Every club has a reunion, and you look around, and they're the same guys. Are you with me? And you remember stories about them and how you felt. Like. I got a message at 1 o'clock this morning from Darren Bullock, and I couldn't read half of it, but You can do it, Gaffer. I'm going to come and watch you. But that's, he was a window cleaner when I signed him at Nuneaton, but he came in instrumental in that team, and that team built with characters like him and Trevitt and people. Are you with me? There was some good characters around. So, and young Andy Booth came through as well. So it was, I think it's just, I do like looking at my ex-players, seeing that, and I want them to enjoy it. Like you say, when you get to my age, it's, if you weren't football, I mean, every sort of occasion that I go to at the minute is probably a funeral, and it's sad, really. So you've just got to enjoy every day. And that's what I would say to you lot anyhow as well. Enjoy every day, because it passes so quick. It doesn't seem 2 minutes ago that I was at Notts County and turning Chelsea down and then getting the sack 6 months later and saying to the chairman, right, you wait and see where Notts County go now without me, and look where they are. But they're coming back now. They're coming back this year.
Just last one from me. I mean, you often joke about you want a minute's brewing when you.
No, can I just clarify that, please, if you don't mind? I'd appreciate you putting this down as well. I only want Bristol City fans to call me a proper name. Are you with me? All the rest fans, they can have a silent one, or they can clap me, or whatever they want when I pass away. But Bristol City fans, it wouldn't be right them clapping or being quiet, because they've always been what they're going to call me.
I'm just going to say you obviously take a lot of joy from the joy you've given to young footballers, to supporters, and that sort of thing.
Well, I think it goes both ways, isn't it? I think people have said to me when I've gone to a club, we never used to like you, Warnock, but we're glad you're managers. I think that's as big a compliment as you can get from critical fans. And that's what, I mean, I have a go, we have we're Bristol City fans, Ipswich fans, Portsmouth fans. I'm doing their shows there. And I asked my man to get me shows there. Are you with me? Because whilst they give me steak, I've got a lot of respect for them, and I know they have for me. Because, I mean, management at times is so bland. You guys hardly have anything to write about when I look at some of the managers. I'm not saying I'm the bee's knees, but at least you get a story with me. Are you with me? And one of my hardest jobs was Middlesbrough, by doing it in the pandemic, and I felt responsible that time for getting us through that period. And when I look at them now, I think I was instrumental a lot of that, because I thought I would have gotten promotion that year when I was got rid of, and it looks like they're going to get it this year. So it's that was probably the most difficult period, because there was no fans around. So I had to be counsellor and everything else in a very depressing time, wasn't it? That, we'd never seen anything like it. And so it's, you just got to keep going, really. And hopefully another 15 games, I'll be able to manage that.
Brilliant. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you. Chris Stokes, my TV.
Hi, Neil.
Hiya.
I think a lot of our viewers watching tonight will probably look at this and think, why would anyone at 74 want to get back to such a stressful environment as football management?
But have a look, and sorry, no disrespect to you, son, but I mean, there's no stress in this job. You've got a hair like. I think it's just one of those. I know what you mean, because I've got a lovely place. I love Cornwall, where we are. We've got our families down there as well. But it's something you can't replicate. But I would only have come back if Sharon would have said it's okay. I wouldn't have come back for another season or two. So are you with me? You can't do that, really. But I don't think you lose. When I see so many young managers, I like to do my old dinosaur thing, if I'm honest. And that's the same in any job, whether you're a journalist or what have you. You always get written off. And you can, it's amazing what you can bring to the table with your experience, I think. So it's another challenge. I'll be coming up against a lot of young managers, and it's a great challenge for me to try and put a team together that aren't doing so well, to give them a game. That's what my challenge is, to give them a game and to be in the game as much as we can in these coming, and I'm hoping that the teams at the top of the league, we play most of them, you know, one or two might think they're going to get a tougher game now, you know, and I hope they do.
As you're 15 months out of the game, mellowed you slightly, or referees have to bring the tin hats?
Well, no, I'm afraid, that, yeah, it's. I mean, the same names are there, aren't they? I've looked at one or two of the mistakes over the last few weeks, and in VAR, and the same names crop up that were there when I was there. But I mean, they have gone in the right direction. I think Howard Webb he's a proper referee's man. He uses the law of the game that nobody bothers with. Howard uses that, and that's the common sense one. And I think he'll change a lot in the next few years, mate, because you can't carry on like we are. I mean, I wanted VAR because I got relegated at Cardiff with a bloody offside goal, 2 yards offside. Are you with me? And so I don't forget that I wanted VAR. But when I see some of the VAR, you know, we've got to put a limit on, you know, 30 seconds. If they don't change their mind, go with the referee's decision. If you can't change in 30 seconds, because, you know, 2, 3, 4 minutes, it's ridiculous, isn't it? You can't. I mean, it has taken a lot of enjoyment out of goal celebrations, hasn't it, with the fans? I never thought it would be as bad as that, really, for the celebrations. I thought, oh, good, it's going to, at last we're going to, you know, have no problems with offsides and that. But I didn't envisage at all, I'm sure nobody did, the problems that it would cause. And I don't actually enjoy that. Even when they come up with a decision, I'm looking, thinking, well, that's not right. You know, that line's not there, which it wasn't for John Brooks last week, was it? He invented one, a line. We'll probably get him Saturday night.
I've been thinking archive out of you on the touchline, obviously at Sheffield United, when we filmed that documentary with you, and you know, at Huddersfield Town as well. Are we going to see the same animated Neil Warnock?
Well, I don't think I don't think a manager changes. You know, I mean, it would be nice. That I know I'm not perfect, and I know that some people, you know, don't like me or what I am. Are you with me? But I don't. I'm not going to change now, am I? It's how it is. I think Yorkshiremen do say what they think, really, and it's cost me a few quid over the years. But you know, you don't change. You have to. I think you have to be a little bit more in the modern day. But you know, it's like I say. I think a lot of it is down to, you know, that I think, like I said, I think Howard Webb will sort a lot of this out now. I wasn't a big fan of the last guy because he refereed me. Are you with me, Mike Riley? And he was a robot when he refereed, and that's what all his referees turn out to be. So I'm hoping now that the upcoming that Howard Webb, he was a proper, what I call a proper referee with common sense and that, you know. So I'm hoping that comes back into the game now.
You won't be holding back on Saturday to referees as well.
No. I try not to shout as much, but I'm sure I will be vociferous.